Hello, everybody. This is Sean Policino. Welcome to the real world of real estate. My brand new podcast that I started last Friday and getting started off today. And I see that I have a guest. Welcome, Cindy, on Clubhouse. We are also streaming towards into Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And just go ahead and get these things started. Give me just a second. We are going to be talking about time blocking today, and I'm so happy that you joined me here on the new podcast called The Real World of Real Estate. We all remember the show called The Real World. It was one of the first reality shows, and it was the environment is that the producers put cameras into a house, basically in every room and all the common areas, and we got to spectate and watch the shenanigans and the lifestyle of these people living in the house. And so my idea here is I'd like for you as viewers to come into our world of the real estate industry. Maybe you're a new agent, maybe you're thinking about getting into the industry, maybe you're already a seasoned agent, you're looking to add some new technique or skill or strategy to your business. This is the place to come. So I've started out doing it live each day, and some of the days will be recorded, so many of them will be live, and I'm even hoping to taking it out to the live environment with a client, like actually go on a listing appointment and bring the camera along and go on a buyer appointment. Obviously the clients would have to sign a release, but it would be fun to be able to bring that out into the world. There are many real estate related shows like $1 Million Listing, and that kind of gives you that impression but those are staged and scripted. I'd like to do something unscripted, as well as just make it real. Too often we see people on YouTube that are talking about real estate as if they've sold a ton of real estate, and we find out that these are not really real estate agents. They're more coaches, and they know what to do, but they haven't actually done it out in the practical world. I'm actually a producing agent. I'm with EXP, and I was with Keller Williams for 16 years. I've been averaging about 37 transactions a year, every year personally. Started out in 2005. I sold 36 homes my first year. I came out of the auto industry. I worked for Toyota in the car business and in the military before that, from Boston originally. Have 4 kids, play hockey, scuba, hike, I'm learning how to fly. I do a lot of extreme things, and this is just something I've taken on in the extreme world of real estate. So if you're interested in learning more, coming here and getting free content, that's what I want to provide. But if you want to call me, you can call me. I can answer questions live on the show here. The number is 818-338-8787. I'm going to get that put as a ticker there on the content here, but I haven't been able to do that yet. You can also schedule a time if you wanted to learn more about our coaching programs at iconcoaching.com, which I'm a real estate coach for as well. That's iconcoaching.com. You can do that, or go to calendly.com/Sean Policino and schedule with me, and I'll gladly give you a free session and we can talk one-on-one about your business. So anyways, today's topic is going to be time blocking. Okay. And whether you're at EXP, Compass, Remax, it doesn't matter what company you're with, you own a business. As a real estate agent, you get a license. That license gives you the ability to earn income using that license. And so at EXP, we have 10 different ways that you can monetize your license and earn revenue. And so I have a real estate team. Okay. I have a mortgage division. I have my own personal real estate production. I have revenue share, which comes from corporate revenue structure that EXP gives all of its agents. No other company has a structure like EXP. Keller Williams has profit share, which is very different. It's actually based upon the office. As long as they're profitable, then they agree to share profit with you. Where EXP says, you know what, right off the top, revenue, we'll split 50-50. We'll take the 50% of the agent's company dollar and give it back to the agents that helped those agents grow. And so I'm also Express Offers certified, which means I have you've all seen the signs that say "We Buy Ugly Houses." That's a franchise not affiliated to EXP, but it's similar to that in the sense that we have a group of institutional buyers that I can offer a client a cash offer, close within 10 days, a 24-hour cash offer on their property. And those are institutional portfolio buyers, and that's called express offers. That's one of the 10 ways. Revenue share is one of the 10 ways. That one happens to be passive and long-term, almost like a retirement. And tell me, who in real estate has a retirement plan? Very few agents. No companies out there offer retirement other than EXP. We have stock options, and we have a retirement structure called rev share. So if you're interested in learning all about that, we can talk about that later and privately. This is not about EXP. This is about real estate. So we're going to talk about time blocking, because time blocking is a skill that you have to master. If you're going to have a big real estate business, I told you I sell personally about 35 homes a year. I also have a team. There's 9 of us on the team. I'm also a coach, and I also have those other streams. So for me to be able to manage all of that, I have to block out and follow a schedule. And I work 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. I try to reserve my weekends for my family. And that's what I love about real estate is it's a business that gives us the ability to manage our own schedule. Now, if you've been used to punching a time clock, it's going to be a challenge for you to come out of that and then remain disciplined. But the great thing is the magic pill to fix that is time blocking. Okay. And it's not this evil thing. It's kind of like an existence system where, like, we need air to breathe. You need a time blocking schedule to run a big business, any business, especially real estate. So how do I manage all that? I'm going to go into the skills that I use. I'm going to share my calendar with you. I'll show you what it looks like. I'll show you some of the key things that I've been able, the skills I've been able to, and I'm not even close to mastery. If I were to give myself a grade on time blocking daily or weekly, I'm anywhere from a C- to a B. Every now and then I'm a B+. I wouldn't even say that I've ever get to an A, but the more and more you do it, it's a challenge that you take on. And I put everything into that. I put my whole life, my kids, my family, my personal events, my church, my getting up in the morning and taking a shower. That's in there. And I block the individual things, whether it's coaching or meeting a client or going out and meeting a client to sell them a house, to show them a house, or meeting a consultation, a listing consultation or a buyer consultation. It all goes into my schedule. Okay. And then it's just a matter of me following the schedule and keeping everything that I'm committed to in it. That's a challenge. I will say that things come across my schedule and I have to remember to put them into my calendar. I usually bring a pad of paper on a tablet, like almost a clipboard basically, and I write everything down, because it's human nature for things to come into our field of view that we either say yes or no to, or commit to, or get offered. And we too often just quickly say yes. And then we don't write it down. It goes out of existence. Who here has not shown up to some place that they were supposed to be because they just forgot? It happens. So the great thing is my business, I ran a real estate business at a high level for 7 years before I even knew about this skill. And I adopted it in 2012 when I hired my first coach. His name is Sean Kokoska. He's my business partner. He happens to be my sponsor at EXP, and he owns Icon Coaching, and I'm a coach for Icon Coaching. So Sean has sold over 4,000 homes in Denver, Colorado. Him and his mother and brother had a team there. They were the #1 team in Colorado. They've done over $1 billion in real estate over the years. The team still exists, although Sean and his mother have stepped back from the team and retired from the day-to-day operation. When they were both active in the team, his mother took over 160 listings in 1 year. And then the buyers, Sean and his brother handled all the buyers. Sean was making over $100,000 a month as a buyer's agent. That's a big business. 160 listings is a big business. The #1 real estate agent in EXP, individual agent, not a team, personal production, I think closed 110 transactions. That shows you how big that is. Keller Williams, the #1 individual real estate agent in Keller Williams, not a team, did over 200, just a slightly over 200 transactions. And she's right here in the San Fernando Valley here in Los Angeles. Her name is Stephanie Vitaco. You can look her up. So long story short is time blocking is a key. And I have a little bit of a cold and I'm getting over. So if I start to cough or choke, it's because of that. And I'm managing it. So anyways, time blocking. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. And hopefully you guys can see that. Let me get rid of that. And I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint presentation here and start from the beginning. And so here we go, is from the beginning. Forgive me, I'm a one-man show here. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. Excuse me. So what is time blocking? Time is what we want most. Most of us got into real estate, forgive my voice, because we wanted to stop exchanging time for money. Okay. And that's why we got into real estate. But then we realized we had to be disciplined with our time. And so it's important that we understand how to manage that. It's just like any other thing, any other skill we have to learn. Okay. And William Penn said, time is what we want most, but we use the worst. And that's a quote. Excuse me. Time begins with designing your perfect week. Okay. And at Icon Coaching, we actually coach our clients on how to design it. Okay. And we give them the tools. It's really simple. You can use a written planner. You can use a daily planner. You can use a spreadsheet. I personally like Google Calendar. You can design it right in Google. But if you want to design it on paper first, what it looks like, what your blocks look like, you can do that. Okay. And I already gave you a little bit of background on me. You know, I came out of the auto industry, and at the dealership, they told me when to show up, you know, and too many people get into real estate and they forget what it's like to work for somebody. And they think, oh, I'm self-employed now. And now I can actually come in whenever I want and go home whenever I want and not actually have to work. But that's not how it works. In reality, I tell my clients and my team members, treat it like a job in the beginning and show up for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week minimum, you know, and maybe even 6 days on a Saturday. Okay. And if you're in a part-time job now, you can totally get out of your part-time job, get out of your full-time job by using real estate as a part-time job if you follow a very serious schedule, a time block schedule, and be disciplined about it. Meaning working Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings. If you get off at 5:30, boom, you're in the real estate office at home from 6 till 8:30. Maybe you're watching videos and doing some training from 8:30 to 9:30. You're calling clients from 6 to 8:30, because after 8:30, it's probably not really a good idea to call clients. So you block that time out. You block out the time it takes to drive from your job to drive to the real estate office, which is your home office. We are a cloud brokerage at EXP. So I do have an office I can go to, but I have an office at home. Okay. And that's set up for me to be successful. So it looks like when I worked at the dealership, they told me when to come in. I had no control. I worked weekends. It was terrible, you know, and I did that until my kids got old enough. They were playing sports. And I said, you know what? I want to have a schedule I control. So I had an entrepreneurial seizure and decided to fire my boss one day. And in 2005, I sat down in front of my boss and said, hey, boss, I'm letting you go today. And he looked at me and he chuckled and he said, you mean you're quitting? And I said, yes, I'm quitting. So that's how it was for me in 2005. So I did have the military experience before the car business. So I've always been pretty disciplined, but you don't need a lot of discipline. You just need to follow a calendar, and you need to put in it what you want to accomplish. Okay. And so it's about following directions and executing. You're putting in you have a Sunday routine and an evening routine. And on your Sunday routine, you're setting your schedule up for the week for success, putting all the things you need to do, whether it's to go to church on Sunday, get up in the morning, go to the gym, everything that needs to go in there goes into your Google Calendar, and you're setting yourself up for success. Your evening routine is where you look at the day that you had to that day, and anything that didn't get done, you move it to a different place in your calendar. And you also look at your next day. This evening routine is before you lay your head down and go to bed. And I say that literally because I actually do it in bed before I shut the light off and go to sleep. I look at my calendar on my Google Calendar, synced to my phone. I just glance at it. I make sure that I don't have any conflicts where I've got things overlapping. I make sure that I've got the drive times to and from places that I need to. And then anything that I've committed to is in my calendar. I look at my pad of paper and I go, okay, this was supposed to go in. So I put it in my calendar. If it's not in that next day, I put it in the calendar someplace else in a future day. Okay. And I do this evening routine. There's also the 4 Ds, and I'm going to share the 4 Ds with you in a little bit. So the skill is making sure that you follow directions and you execute. And I learned that from the military. Okay. And in the car business, we had a lot of salespeople, chaotic. We sold over 800 cars a month. So I had to make sure that I had a schedule and a plan for the day. So Bold is a program that Keller Williams teaches. Any agent can take it, by the way. And it's $800. It's an 8-week course, very intensive, all about prospecting, and it's a mindset conditioning course. And one of the key features that they talk about is BOLD. And BOLD is an acronym for Business Objective Life by Design. And that's what we all want, right? We have an objective and we have a life by design, not by default. Okay, and that quote comes from Sean Kokoska's mother, Diana Kokoska. And the BOLD laws were actually designed after Diana Kokoska's life. She journaled everything, all her real estate career. She journaled, and they took those journals and they created a course called BOLD. And you can, like I said, you don't have to be a Keller Williams agent to take this course. You can go and register. I'm a graduate 7 times. Sean Kokoska, my business partner, used to teach it. He was a BOLD coach, actually. And again, it was designed after his mother. So she has a bunch of different, what she calls laws, and they're basically things that she's learned to be true over her career. And like I told you, she's a super successful lady, businesswoman of the year, amazing realtor, amazing real estate business. And the BOLD law is something she knows to be true. And it's kind of like gravity. You can't see it or touch it. You know it's there. If you try to jump off a building, you'll fall, and you'll fall to the ground and you'll hurt yourself. And that's what gravity's like. So these are laws too. And here's a couple ones that stood out to me about time blocking. If it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist. And that comes down to that piece of paper where we talked about writing things down and then moving them into your calendar. That's a really important piece to time blocking. Okay. The second one here is, if it's not about selling real estate, it's about following a schedule. Of course, we put all the real estate stuff into our schedule, but that's not the primary thing. The primary thing is following the schedule. The real estate is a byproduct of what you put into your schedule. So in other words, if I put lead generation into my schedule and I'm lead generating for real estate business, looking for buyers and sellers and investors, I'm going to find those, right? So it takes putting the lead generation in there. We all think that real estate just comes to us automatically. As soon as we get our license, the business is going to come to me. That's what $1 million listing in Hollywood and list this house and list that house and flip that house and flip this house. All those shows want you to think. But guess what? Finding real estate business is hard. You go to your sphere of influence, you go to the lead sources that you have. If you check out my previous episodes this week, we talked about different sources, Facebook, Instagram, but you have to follow up on those people. So you got to put the follow-up calls in your calendar. So you can see how it really stems around what's in your schedule. So many agents don't follow up. I'll give you a statistic. And this comes from NAR. NAR does a study every year. And in NAR, the number one reason why people pick up an agent to work with is likability. Okay, and they do business with that agent because they like them. And then here's the next statistic that came out of that study. And you can go to nar.com and you can .org and you can actually look at the study every year. Keller Williams, Gary Keller, the owner of Keller Williams, does a great vision speech at his family reunion every year. You can check that out. It's really great. Again, you don't have to be an agent to go to family reunion. I love Keller Williams. It's not a bad company, but EXP is a better company. They've made, Glenn Sanford made it better, and that's why I'm with EXP. I get to choose what company I partner with. And if you ever want to take a look at it, you can call me at 818-338-8787. You can schedule with me, calendly.com/Sean Policino. You can go to my website, policinorealestate.com, and you can reach me on all of my channels, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm on them all, so check it out. And let's talk, okay? So the great thing about this study is one of the key statistics that came out of it is that if you don't follow up with the client, they don't do business with you again, even if they liked you. And the statistic is that when surveyed, buyers of a home said they would absolutely, in the 80-90 percentile, said they would work with the agent again, because they liked him and it went well, 80 to 90%. But when you survey sellers, only 10 to 12% are working with the same agent that they bought the home from. And that just shows you that most agents are bad at follow-up. If you don't put the follow-up in your calendar, it never happens, okay? And so that's where that comes from. So bold law, it's not about selling real estate, it's about following a schedule, okay? And then what you focus on expands. It doesn't matter, whatever you focus on, it'll expand. So if you focus on your calendar, you'll get more efficient, you'll get more stuff done. And I'm gonna use a dirty word, you'll get more shit done. In the military, that's what we say. We get shit done. So you'll get more stuff done, okay? Another one, this is another law that comes out of bold. No pressure, no diamonds. I know a lot of people say, I can't follow a schedule. It's too much work. It's too hard. It's a challenge. I tell you what, I'm up for a challenge. So I don't say it's hard, because you know what? It's not hard. It's a challenge. It's simple. It's not easy. And it's a challenge. And I'm up for a challenge. That's what my affirmation is. You could say it's too hard. Okay, that's an affirmation as well. It's just a really bad one. So use a good affirmation. It's a challenge, and I'm up for a challenge. And I tell myself that every day. Okay, so you don't get diamonds without pressure. So let's talk about that. Your schedule is a reflection of your goals. Without goals, you don't know how to prioritize. It's super important. You won't know what's the most important thing. What are you committed to? And I'm going to talk about the 4 Ds, which will help you. It's a very simple tool that will help you with what you are committed to. We say yes to things we're not even committed to. Raise your hand. I do anyways. Maybe I'm alone. Okay. So it's very important that you understand what your priorities are. Either you control your time or somebody else does. Sean has a great quote that you either stay true to your own vision or you become part of somebody else's, right? These are key things to remember. Sorry about that. My wife is printing, so the printer is right next to me and it's running. So apologize about the noise. It's not a time problem, it's a clarity problem. So here's what having a time block schedule does. You can look at your entire week very easily. You can look at your day really easily too, but I look at my week, I look at my day as well. My day shows up on my phone. I look at it, what am I doing today? My week, I look online when I actually pull up in my browser, my Google Calendar, and I can see from my entire week what that looks like. And I get a 10,000-foot view of my business. So it's not a time problem, it's a clarity problem. It helps you get really clear on what you're committed to and what you're doing every day. Why you're not selling homes is typically because you're not doing the right activities. And so I can help you with that. Okay, so this is free. Check out my content. That's where I'm going to help you. You can watch it. If you want to schedule with me, I can share with you. I'll share with you again at the end how to do that. Okay. So think of your classes in high school. Think back to high school. The bell rang, you went from one class to the next class. That's how this works. I actually have my phone set up with my Google Calendar. Google will be your friend. If you put in there drive to Los Angeles, Google sees that in your calendar and it gives you a notification that says, hey, right now it's going to take 45 minutes for you to get to Los Angeles. So Google will be your friend. It also blasts off an obnoxious horn every time I'm supposed to change from one event to the next event. And it gives me I could do a different sound for, hey, guess what? You're getting close to the top of the hour where you're going to change events, change activities. There's a great book called The One Thing that Gary Keller wrote. It's an absolute must read. It's a business book, not a real estate book. Simple read. You can read it over the weekend. It's called The One Thing. It's a New York Times bestseller. And read it. It'll change your life. And Sean did that for me in 2012 when I hired him as my first coach. I told you I did business for 7 years. I was sloppy. It was messy. 7 years. I hired him. The first thing that he taught me was time blocking. Okay. And it changed my life. Ask my kids. My kids used to say, Dad's always late. I was late to everything. I used to say, I'm going to be late to my own funeral. That's a good thing to be late for, right? So time blocking literally changed my schedule, changed my life. And I believe it will change yours. Okay. So read The One Thing, and One Thing will help you with your time blocking skill. So it's a must read. Okay. And I'm going to put it on here. Actually, I'm going to put it into my slide presentation here about being a required read. So think back in high school. When the bell rang, you moved from one event, you moved from one class to the next. You didn't question it. You just did it. Okay. So what is time blocking? Let's have a discussion about it. So again, if you want to call in, I'll take your live call over the air here. This is live. It's not recorded. 818-338-8787. I can bring you into the call and we can have a time blocking conversation if you're interested. So I'm treating this like a radio show. Remember, this is the real world of real estate. So always start off with God, family, and then prioritize your tasks after that. Nobody's asking you to sacrifice your family just to follow a schedule. So schedule them in just like you would anything else. They will totally appreciate it if you scheduled a dinner with your kids or your dinner with your wife or whatever that is, and you are 100% present for that moment. They won't care that you put it in a schedule. Who cares, right? I guard my time fiercely. That was a quote by Gary Keller. Meaning, if you have a schedule put in and somebody's violating your schedule, like in other words, they don't care, they're making you go over, chop it off, end it. Seriously, if you have control, okay? The most important work comes first. So eat the frog first. That's a book, by the way. I don't remember the author, but that's a quote. So meaning the hardest things, your phone, and you will learn this in The One Thing, your phone's battery, when your battery gets really low, okay, does your phone work the way it's supposed to? Sometimes it gets weird. It doesn't answer emails. You have to reboot it or you have to charge it because your battery, your willpower is not on will call. It works like your cell phone battery. When it goes down, you got to charge it back up. So you have the highest power, the highest willpower in the morning. So do the hard things. Get the lead generation done first. That's eating the frog. Whatever is hard for you, maybe it's not lead gen. Maybe lead gen comes easy to you, and it's your making those phone calls. Make the phone calls first if that's the hard thing. So the most important work comes first. When it's done, give yourself ample time to complete the tasks. Don't change yourself. If it's a task that's going to take 10 hours to complete, do it in blocks. 2-hour block here, 2-hour block here, 2-hour block here. Get it done by the deadline. But when you're doing that one thing, that 2-hour block, whatever that is, that's the one thing you're doing. Limit all distractions. Create yourself a bunker if you need to. And that's the skill in the book, The One Thing. You have many one things, but the one thing is the one thing you're doing in that moment, okay? So limit all distractions. If something comes across your desk that is not on your schedule, use the 4 Ds. I mentioned this. This tool is really important. So many of us put number 4, 1, and when somebody asks you to do something, you stop what you're doing and you do it now. You can't do that. It just doesn't work. So what you need to do is ask yourself the 4 Ds. So when something comes across your schedule, your wife asks you to do something, your kids ask you to do something, a client asks you to do something, a team member asks you to do something, whatever that is, you're going to first say, hey, can I dump it or ditch it? Can I say no to this thing? Now, if your wife asks you to do something, you can't say no. If your kids, you're not going to probably say no. And your team, you're probably not going to say no. A client, you're probably not going to say no. So you can't say that. So then you go to number 2. Can I delegate this? Anything that's in my calendar that I delegate is in yellow. I use yellow for placeholders for something like coaching. I leave a block open for coaching. That's called a placeholder. If I can delegate it to my TC or my admin or a team member, a buyer lead that I'm not going to handle, I delegate it. Okay. So if I can't say no, if it's something I'm not committed to, I'm saying no right in the moment. I'm honoring my word and I'm saying, you know what, folks, I can't really do that for you. I can't commit to that. You want to check if it's not important, if it's not, it has to be done right now, check back with me next week or next month. Maybe I can fit that in, but right now I can't. So if you can't delegate it and you're going to have to do it, then the third thing is do it another day. So where in my calendar, I do leave some spots open, some flex space, I call it, white space, where I can put things in that come up. So I ask the person, hey, does this have to be done right now? If it does, I'm not your guy. But if it is, and if I am your guy and you want me to do it and I can do it on Thursday at 3 o'clock, will that work for you? Or Saturday at 9 o'clock, will that work for you? This even pertains to showing property. How often does a client come on and say, hey, I want to see this property? Okay, and then we go do it right now. They're not expecting to see it right now. It probably, a lot of times you'll find out it doesn't even work for them right now, but we go to right now. So what you say to them is, hey, great, I'm not available until Tuesday evening. Now I know if you're in a market like we're in right now, where things are selling really quick, you may have to move something in your calendar to accommodate that buyer, and that's okay. Just don't ever delete income generating activities. And I'll give you those real quick. The 5 income generating activities are lead generation, going on appointment, lead generation, lead follow-up, going on appointments, negotiating contracts, and practicing your scripts, your dialogues, and your buyer presentation, listing presentation, commercial presentation. And yes, I said commercial. Even if you're not a commercial agent, you want to be a resi-commercial agent like me. My biggest commission ever, $250,000 on one commission, came from a sphere of influence commercial transaction. So you need to be versed in what commercial is and the terminology and like the differences between like how a commercial property is determined, its value is by the operating income, where a residential property is by the comparables in the area, okay, and what a buyer will pay for it. So if you're in a market like today, scheduling something now, move it, okay, and if it's a green activity, which is income generating, one of those 5, and I'll give it to you again, you can write it down: lead generation, lead follow-up. How important is the follow-up? The money's in the follow-up. Going on appointments, negotiating contracts, and practicing your scripts and dialogues and your presentations. Those go in your calendar, but they go in as green. You never delete green. You move green. So that way you can stay on track and to your goals. If you're supposed to talk to 100 people a week, then and you get in your lead gen got moved around Tuesday and Wednesday because you had a buyer come into town, then you move those. You may have to work Saturday and Sunday to make up so that by the end of the week, you have your 100 contacts. And a 15th protocol is a great term we use for the Wednesday strategy that you use, or the 15th of the month. If you're behind on your goals, what am I going to do different on the 15th of the month that I'm going to start doing now? I'm going to put in my calendar. Like for instance, if I'm behind on my goals on the 15th of the month, I'm going to put an extra 2 hours of lead generation time in every other day, or I'm going to add an hour a day extra lead gen time for the rest of the month until I get back on track. And that works for the Wednesday because that's the hump day, that's the middle. So the 15th protocol weekly would be, what am I going to do Wednesday? If I'm behind on my calendar, I'm behind on my goals, what am I going to do Wednesday through Sunday differently? So that might look like working Saturday and Sunday on lead gen or whatever it is that you're behind on. Okay, so that's called the 15th protocol strategy. We just finished the D's. So the last one is do it now. And now the reason that one's last, that has the highest cost. Too often agents go to that first. And I used to do that for 7 years. I went to that first. So it has the highest cost. That's why it's last. And there are some things that you will have to do now, but you got to really put some thought into this, guys, before you commit to that. Okay. So this is the 4 Ds. So the evening routine, the Sunday routine, the 4 Ds, and the 15th protocol. These are skills. These are activities that you're going to do throughout the week and throughout the month. Okay. And then it talks about starting off with a schedule. Now, if you want this, email me and I'll send you a copy. This is a self-management example of your schedule. Okay. And it's got the 4 Ds. You can write them in right at the top here. And now this came from Bold, and I probably shouldn't be sharing this, but and if you're on Clubhouse and you can't see what I'm sharing, check this video out. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's all over the place. But using the 4 Ds, what I'm sharing on the screen here is a perfect schedule. Okay, and so hopefully with what I'm saying verbally, you're getting the impression of what I'm talking about around the schedule. But if you want a written example, check out the video and you can get it on my YouTube channel. Okay. So continuing the discussion, if we know where we are going and what we want to accomplish, this gives us an amazing clarity on our priority. And I need to reword that. It didn't sound right. But schedule time for interruptions. So I do have some flex space in my calendar. It's not back-to-back events like you'd think. There's some time in there just in case I need to move things around. Okay. While you cannot eliminate interruptions, you do get to say how much time you will spend on them and how much time you will spend on actions. I use a chess clock when I'm lead generating, and it's got 2 sides to the clock, and I set the settings so that it counts up instead of down. A chess clock is set to 20 minutes and counts down, but in most chess clocks, you can actually change it to count up and start from 0. And so when I started out on my lead generating is on the left, and whenever I get distracted, I hit the space bar and flip it over to the right. And then when I'm back on track, I hit it and go back over to the left, and I play this game with myself. And so it's really cool. At the end of the 2-hour block, I see you lead generated for 1 hour and 20 minutes, and for 40 minutes you were distracted. So I really didn't put in 2 hours of lead gen. I put in 1 hour and 20 minutes of lead gen. So it's just a game I play with myself. So what does the perfect schedule look like? And an easy way to format it is in a weekly form. It's a weekly perfect schedule that you block out your individual tasks, and you can use Excel to do this. You can use a written form. Use color codes that are important to you. It doesn't really matter what colors. I use green for income generating. I use yellow to delegate, yellow for a placeholder. I use red for something only I can do. And then I use blue for family, and I use different shades of blue. Okay, and if it's something for my team or the coaching, they have their own color as well. So if you have multiple different streams, you're going to add different colors for the different activities. Okay, set up a template. So use a spreadsheet to set the template up and then transfer it over, or use Google as your template, but set up the template of repeating events. Okay, and then each Sunday, you're going to move those events around to accommodate your life. And each evening, you're going to do the same as well. So set up a template. In Google, those are called repeating events. Okay. So set up a template with those things that you do every day, like get up in the morning, shower every morning, and then you can move them around as you need to. So like if on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have to get up earlier. If I'm going to go to the gym because I've got something else I need to do, I'm going to go earlier. I move that around. I can move it as a repeating event, but it's in there every day, and every week it's set up as a template. So pretty easy on that. I'm showing a picture right now on the screen of an actual version of the perfect week. Again, if you want to email me, you can email me at seanpolicino@gmail.com or sean@policinorealestate.com, and I'll send you an Excel spreadsheet with it all color coded out as an example. Okay, and then you guys can play with it as an example to make it work for your life. Okay, so what is the 5 agents' daily tasks? Those are the income generating tasks. I talked to you about those already. Lead generate, lead follow-up and conversion, appointments, going on appointments, negotiating contracts, practicing, presenting, and role playing. So your presentations. And if you're an EXP agent, that includes your discovery, your EXP presentation. Because rev share, you want to be able to explain and show other agents why EXP is the best model out there and very disruptive and changing the world. A year ago, we had 50,000 agents. Today, we have 76,000 agents. 7 years ago, we had less than 1,000 agents. Today, we have 76,000 agents. Fastest growing real estate brokerage model in history. It's Uberizing the real estate industry. It's doing what Amazon has done to retail. It's doing what Blockbuster Video, what Netflix did to Blockbuster Video. We are doing that to the real estate industry. So if you want to be on the cutting edge, Calendly.com/Sean Policino to schedule with me for free. You can also go to, call me 818-338-8787. You can also go to any of my social media and DM me, okay? So just to wrap up here, real estate is a contact sport. It's about making contacts. A contact is a face-to-face, a voice-to-voice conversation about real estate, where you either ask for an appointment or ask for a referral. So at the end of the day, it's a relationship business, person-to-person, voice-to-voice, face-to-face. Okay? I play ice hockey. Real estate is a contact sport, so I love contact. So on the screen, there's my information, my phone number, my email address, my name, how to spell it. I just want to say thank you for spending time with me today. I'm building this channel out. I'm building followers. I want to say you got my first 2 followers. Thank you, Cedric, for joining us. And I hope to share this on social media so that we gain followers. And join me again tomorrow, 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday, the real world of real estate. We'll talk to you guys later.